Once again, good morning, everybody. Welcome here to Memorial Day. My name is George Poole, the Commander of the United Veterans Council. We're going to start a little early because there is a threat of weather for later in the morning. Once again, remembering what Memorial Day is all about, taking time to honor those that gave their lives for our country. It's a day of remembering. It's not a day of really celebrating like other holidays are. We'll now have a raising of the flag. We already have the colors posted on the common. We'll have the raising of the flag, accompanied by Bill Murray from the Commander Legion, David Epps, Marine Corps League, and Mike Downs, Commander of the VFW. And also Charlie Culhane will be carrying a commemorative flag of World War I that's going to go up on the flagpole. And they will be accompanied by the police rifle squad to the flagpole. Thank you. Just a little bit of the history of the flag commemorating the anniversary of World War I. In a short while in the program, Kathy Lucero will speak about that. At this time, I invite everybody to participate in today's program. Would you please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Color guards. Parade rest. Deacon Phil Hardcastle from St. Charles Church will now offer an opening prayer. Deacon Phil.
Let us bow our heads and ask for God's blessing. Eternal God, creator of heaven and earth, how can we thank you for your care and protection? You have called us to worship in spirit and in truth. You have dignified us with love of loyalty and respect. You have filled us up with your loving kindness. Therefore, we come before you without fear. We sing with spirit and pray with courage because you have dignified us and have redeemed us and forgiven our many human weaknesses. God, lift the hearts of those for whom this holiday is not just a diversion, but painful memories of loved ones who have died for our freedom and service to this great country of ours. We believe that you will also provide for us as we mourn those who have gone before us in death, so that we may be free. We ask you to bring them to life eternal. Amen.
Thank you, Deacon Phil. Every Memorial Day and every Veterans Day I stand here, and I'm always somewhat taken back by a name of a veteran that has passed away. It's usually a friend or someone you know, and you don't expect them to pass away. Last Memorial Day, I read the name of my best friend and my brother-in-law. This year, for instance, I'm going to read the name of Woburn Police Detective Chuck Carroll. Chuck Carroll was a good friend, and he did so many hundreds of hours of volunteer work at the VA up in Bedford after he retired from the police department. And last year I stood here on Veterans Day, and there was a great friend of Woburn who stood right behind me, and his name was Senator Ken Donnelly. and he's no longer with us. You know, Kenny was a guy, when he came to Woburn, he was so comfortable here, as Jay Kaufman is too. You know, they feel so comfortable in Woburn. And when you talk to Kenny, you'd say he was born down in the South End. He grew up here his whole life, but that's not true. He came from North Cambridge, and we know what he did. He served his whole career, 33 years on the Lexington Fire Department. And then he got involved in politics. And with that half grin and that half smile that he always had, he decided to run for state senate. And when he did, I said, Kenny, I can't vote for you. I said, I live in Ward 2, and at the time, Ward 2 was not in his district. I said, will you see what you can do about getting us in your district? Well, a couple of years went by, and he was so excited that he had done something for me personally. He said, George, I got good news for you. I'm getting Ward 2 back. They're redistricting. And that's just the type of guy he was. I know Larry Giuseppe, the Veteran Services Officer, if he needed some contact in the State Department, he could call Kenny, and Kenny would go right to bat for him. And I'm sure Scott, the mayor of the city, would tell you the same thing. And that's just the type of guy he was. And we just want to take a moment to recognize him, that he's no longer here with us today. I know he's up in heaven down. He's looking down on us and saying, I'd like to be here. So once again, on behalf of the Woburn Veterans Council and myself personally, we want to extend our sincere condolences to Kenny's family. We want to thank him for his service. Kenny, God bless you and rest in peace. And now I'm going to have one moment of silence in memory of Kenny. Thank you. We'll now have a selection by the Woburn City Band and Joanne Campbell singing the Armed Forces medleys.
First to fight for the right and to build the nation's might, and the army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the army goes rolling along. Then it's high, high.
Obviously, Joanna's not done. She did not sing the Marine Corps hymn yet, but she will in a couple of moments. I asked Joanna if she allowed me to speak one moment about the Marine Corps League before she sang it. The trend throughout the country today is for civic and fraternal and veterans organization to disband or merge with other organizations. I know right here in Woburn, the Stoneham Elks is closing and they're merging with the Woburn Elks. They'll be known as the Woburn Stoneham Elks in a matter of days. And with disappointment, the United Veterans Council and sadness has been informed by the Marine Corps League of Woburn that they are disbanding due to the age of the members and the lack of membership. I know they're going to stay members of the Marine Corps League, and I know that they will try to participate in some way here in further ceremonies. But today is their last official ceremony as members of the detachment. And this time I only thought it'd be proper for us to recognize them. I know they're standing out behind me. I'm going to ask them to come up right up in front of the podium. And Mike McGann, would you come up too, please? Mike McGann's a proud veteran of World War II of the United States Marine Corps. And I'd like you all to line up right in the front here. Dickie Griffith, is that Fredericks here too? Oh, he's here, okay. Please, stand right in front of the podium, please. Mike, you can stand right here. And just so you know, Mike McGann, United States Marine Corps, World War II. Ed Fredericks, United States Marine Corps, Vietnam. David Epps, United States Marine Corps, Vietnam. Larry Giuseppe, United States Marine Corps, Vietnam. And Dick Griffith, United States Marine Corps, Korean. And now I'm turning the microphone back over to Kathy to properly honor you. Excuse me, to Joanne.
From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we fight our country's battles in the air, on land, and the sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marines. You went to a corps which we are proud to serve. In many a strife we fought for life and never lost our nerve. If the Army and the Navy ever look on heaven's seas, they will find the streets are guided by United States Marines.
Thank you, Joanne. Marine Corps, dismissed. Semper Fi, Marines. We'll now have a reading of the Governor's Proclamation by a member of the Woburn Memorial High School Band, Bryce Weldon. Bryce?
A proclamation. Whereas while the nation was still recovering from the horrors of the Civil War, people in cities and towns across the country gathered to honor those whose Union and Confederate soldiers had given their lives, celebrating the first Decoration Day. And whereas after World War I, the nation came together again to honor those who had fallen in the service of their country. Renamed Memorial Day, the last Monday in May, is when people remember and honor the memory of all the men and women who fought and died in all American wars and conflicts. And whereas throughout our country's history, thousands of Massachusetts citizens have fought in wars and conflicts to defend our safety and way of life, and whereas their legacy of patriotism and dedication to this country is an inspiration to all Americans, and whereas it is appropriate that all Massachusetts citizens remember the bravery of those who gave their lives so that their sacrifices serve as a reminder of the cost of our freedom, now I, Charles D. Baker, Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, do hereby proclaim May 29, 2017 to be Memorial Day.
Thank you, Bryce. I've got to know Bryce over the last couple of years. He's done a great job assisting us. And I've got to know a little bit about him. You see him standing here and say, well, he's a member of the band. Well, he's more than that. Bryce is an honor student from Woburn High School. He's a member of the National Honor Society. He participates in sports and track. He also has another great accomplishment that he has just completed. He's about to be awarded the Eagle Scout of the Boy Scouts of America. That's quite an accomplishment. And I know he's going off to college, and he's going to Northeastern University. We have a lot of students from Woburn High School going to great colleges, Harvard, BU, BC, and there's many, many, many great schools. That's a great class. Bryce, you know all the seniors that are here in the band today? Do you know them all?
Yes, we have Jonathan O'Connor,
Put your hand up.
Priya Pai, Joe Pino, Isabel Urban, Joe Carpinella, Nathan Gonzalez, and I think that's everyone. Oh, Chrissy Murray. Sorry, Chrissy. Didn't see you.
Bryce, thank you so much. We're going to miss you, and I want to very wish you well off in college. I know you'll do a great job. I know your parents are so proud of you, and all of us in Woburn are too. Okay, and to all the seniors in the band, I don't know where you're going to be going, but we just want to thank you so much for all the time you spent participating in Memorial Day and the Veterans Day Parade. We wish you well. And don't the band do a great job? Thanks. And now we'll have a selection by the Rubin Memorial High School Marching Band. Thank you so much. Down at the first burial ground this morning, when I introduced the mayor, I introduced him as a former great mayor, Jack Gunn, but his name is really Mayor Scott Galvin. So, Scott, I'd like to have you come up and say a few words.
Thanks, George.
You called me Larry.
Yeah, I called him Larry earlier. I won't do it twice. But so, welcome everybody. And before I get started, I'd like to recognize the efforts of George Poole, the United Veterans Council, and Larry Giuseppe for the work that they do recognizing our veterans year-round. And they do a great job getting out into the community and bringing people together to recognize the veterans. In Woburn, we have a saying that we recognize our veterans Woburn does recognize our veterans is because of very special people like George Poole and Larry Giuseppe. So thank you for what you do year-round. Memorial Day is a very solemn day when we recognize those military veterans who served the country, sacrificed their lives, their bodies, their limbs, their family, and everything for our benefit. And everything we have today is because of them. And all the veterans here today who have survived, I want to thank you all for your service. For the families who have lost loved ones, thank you for your service as well. We're here today. We have all these liberties that we take for granted to assemble, freedom of speech, freedom of government. Everything we have is because of our veterans. So thank you very much for what you've done for us. And I know we have a busy day, but I'd also like to recognize a couple of veterans who are here today with us. Ed Chisholm in the front row, Woburn police officer, veteran. He ran a half marathon for the Woburn Police Department. Very impressive time, probably what, 1:30, Ed? Good job. Also, Mark Shaughnessy, another veteran from Woburn Police Inspector. He ran the marathon as well. So we've got great veterans doing great things in the community. Keep it up, Betty. Good job. So thank you again, everybody.
Thank you, Mayor Galvin. This time we're going to have the reading of the honor roll. Dolores L. Lovren Dickey, Korean. Margaret Gilgun Collmore, World War II. Richard Chase, Korean. Donald R. Foley, Sr., Korean. Anthony J. Santilli, Jr., Vietnam. Anthony A. Rutkowski, Jr., World War II. Al Nicosia, World War II. John F. Conroy, Vietnam. Edmund F. Luzier, Korean. Salvatore J. Salamini, Korean. Elliot H. Eason, World War II. William J. Zampel, Korean. Jacob J. Wolf, Jr., Korean. John Iaconis, World War II. Francis J. Labadini, World War II. William J. Perry, Sr., World War II. James H. Jim Young, Korean. William F. Payne, Vietnam. Fred C. Brown, Jr., Korean. Leon K. Hudig, Korean. Francis M. Frank Hancock, Jr., World War II. Edward J. Murphy, Jr., World War II. Thomas T. Donnelly, World War II. John F. Scally, World War II. Charles E. Aronson, Korean. William W. Farrar, Sr., Korean. Dennis J. Herlihy, Korean. William C. Higton, World War II. Angelo Peter Aspesi, World War II. Robert B. Thierry, Korean. Robert H. Mayella, World War II. Bruce H. Oldham, Vietnam. Paul Snyder, Korean. Peter D. Ravanas, World War II. Charles J. Moon Mullen, Korean. Joseph P. Soav, Korean. John W. Kincaid, Vietnam. Anthony M. Masiello, World War II. Kenneth M. Loffman, Korean. Richard Jeremiah Sullivan, Korean. Salvatore F. Bruno Jr., World War II. Donald F. O'Shea, Korean. Joseph A. Civatolo Sr., Korean. Richard M. Smith, Vietnam. Robert O. Millett Sr., World War II. Alan J. McEachran, Korean. Edward D. Butch Sweeney, World War II. Nicholas T. Russo, Korean. Charles T. Robeski Jr., Korean. Thomas E. O'Rourke, Korean. Frederick Chicky Reed, World War II. Robert F. Duffy, World War II. Edward C. Stickney, World War II. Elmer N. Hensig, World War II. James E. McCarthy, Korean. Russell F. Geardy, Korean. Arthur R. White, World War II. David W. Berquist, Vietnam. Francis A. LaVecchia, World War II. Bob Johnson, United States Marine Corps, World War II. Robert E. Heilberg Sr., Korean. John J. McGrath, Vietnam. Bill Meany, Korean. Norbert J. Kelly, World War II. Daniel R. Hayden, Korean. Gerald F. McLaughlin, Vietnam. John H. Lynch, World War II. Kenneth F. McKinnon, Vietnam. Michael J. Martell, Vietnam. Joseph L. Barry, Jr., World War II. Daniel L. Canada, Korean. Ira B. Robinson, Korean. Richard W. Zuford, Korean. Frank R. Fuller, Korean. Roger E. Wessels, Vietnam. Donald A. Hank Galanti, World War II. Nicola Al Galanti, World War II. Francis P. Cavell, Korean. Jerome J. Donovan Jr., Vietnam. Thomas D. Barry, World War II. Oliver P. Gonzalez, Korean. Chet W. Johnson, Vietnam. Paul J. McDonald, Korean. Charles F. Touts, Korean. George Bernie Wells, Korean. Eric W. Cooper, World War II. Edward J. Melanson, Korean. Joseph M. Penta, World War II. Jackie Lee La Follette, Korean. Father Edward F. Dowdy, peacetime. Michael R. Caswell, peacetime. James Stoddard, peacetime. Zachary Menakis, peacetime. Thomas W. Linehan, peacetime. William E. Purington Jr., peacetime. Lawrence A. Cooper, peacetime. Michael James Porter, peacetime. William E. Dunnigan, peacetime. Stephen G. Sisler, peacetime. Harold R. Sweet, peacetime. Jeffrey T. Burnham, peacetime. Paul W. Thayer, World War II. Jerry Shapiro, World War II. And retired Woburn Police Department Detective Charles E. Chuck Carroll, Vietnam. And may they all rest in peace. I just read approximately 100 names of veterans from Woburn or originally from Woburn that have passed away just since Veterans Day. That is incredible. You heard me read the names of many peacetime veterans from the beginning of about 1956 till about the beginning of 1961. We were considered during peacetime. And you figure how many years ago and the age of those veterans are getting up to where they're passing away. So that's an indication of where we are today. But don't forget, they served our country proudly, they were veterans, and they followed our orders just like everybody else did. At this time, it gives me great pleasure to once again reintroduce Kathy Lucero, our great historian. She boggles my mind when she comes up with all these facts and figures. And she's going to talk a little bit right now about ceremony honoring World War I in the state. And she is on the State Commission for World War I. Kathy? We're going to adjust the mic here for Kathy.
Thank you, George. I think so. Thank you. Can you all hear me? Good morning. Thank you for having me here today. The United States entered World War I on April 6, 1917. It was the war to end all wars. The war that would change everything, politically, socially, and economically. It would lead to the Prohibition era and the 19th Amendment in 1920, giving women the right to vote. The World War I Centennial Commission, created by an act of Congress in 2013, is establishing programs and activities to commemorate World War I and to establish a World War I memorial in Washington, D.C., to be located next to the White House in Pershing Park. Currently, there is no memorial exists for veterans of World War I. More than 4 million men and women from the United States served in uniform. Among them were 2 United States presidents, Harry S. Truman and Dwight D. Eisenhower. It would be the first time women would join the armed forces. 2 million men served overseas, including 200,000 naval personnel. The United States would suffer 375,000 casualties, including 116,516 deaths. In only 5 months of fighting at the end of the war, 116,516 U.S. soldiers gave their lives in combat, and another 200,000 were wounded. Woburn men would be among these casualties. 36 were killed in action or died from disease. Many died after the war from effects of gas or their wounds. Over 1,400 men and women from Woburn would serve. Many had entered the war in 1914 and served with the British or Canadian armies, but most would serve with the 26th Yankee Division, the 101st Infantry, which is organized from the National Guards of all 6 New England states. It was the first full U.S. Army division to arrive in France as part of the American Expeditionary Forces. During July 18 through July 23, 1918, Woburn men would participate in the most severe fighting during the Battle of Chateau-Thierry, a phase of the Second Battle of the Marne. On July 18th, 18-year-old Edward C. Foley of Lake Avenue would be one of these casualties when he was killed instantly in no man's land. He would be memorialized with Foley Beach was named in his honor in 1936. John T. Flaherty of Garfield Avenue, Woburn's youngest soldier, enlisted at 16 years old. He too would be killed during the campaign on July 23, 1918, when he was killed by a German machine gun. His picture hangs outside the auditorium of the Woburn High School. Every state has been asked to form a World War I commission. The Massachusetts Commission was formed in 2016. As a member of this commission, I look forward to working with my fellow commission members in honoring the 189,000 Massachusetts men and women who served in World War I. The centennial offers all of us an opportunity to learn about the sacrifices of our World War I veterans made and how 100 years ago this war affected our nation. World War I is known as the Great War, or the Forgotten War. The men and women from Woburn who served will never be forgotten. Next Saturday on June 3rd, the Woburn Historical Society will honor our Woburn veterans with an exhibit on World War I. I hope you will join us there. Thank you and happy Memorial Day.
Thank you, Kathy. I always like to recognize, we have a great turnout from our city officials, but again, Jay Coffin, always here today. He could be in another community, but he's here in Woburn today. And as Jim DeWye, and I know he goes over to Reading. Are you going over to Reading today, Jim? Oh, okay, but, you know, they move around, so it's a little difficult, but they always come to Woburn, and we'd like to recognize and thank them of any of, and of course, all of our city officials that are here today. And speaking of city officials, we have a city official here today that's not an elected official, but today is his last official ceremony. And I want to take a moment to recognize Fire Chief Tim Ring, who will be retiring very shortly. And we want to wish him well in his retirement, and we want to thank him for support. And I know he's out here with the fire department. Tim, are you there? Can you see you? Put your hand up. We see where you are. There he is right there. Thank you, Tim. A nice job with the fire service. Sometime if you want to have a cup of coffee with Tim, he can go back and tell you when his career first started. We used to have some huge fires here in Woburn, as a lot of communities did. He can probably tell you some great stories, and thankfully he didn't get injured, and a lot of the other firefighters were able to survive too. But again, happy retirement, Tim, and thanks for supporting the Memorial Day and Veterans Day program that you've always done. I'll now invite back up again Deacon Phil Hardcastle for benediction.
I think for our benediction, it will be fitting, since we just heard about the great veterans of World War I, the famous poem in Flanders Field by Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae. In Flanders Fields, the poppies blow between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky, the larks still bravely singing fly, scarce heard among the guns below. We are the dead, shut days ago, we lived, fell dawned, saw our sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Field. Take up our quarrel with our foe, to you, from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Field.
Thanks, George. Thank you, Deacon Phil. That was very appropriate, wasn't it? We don't normally have children march on the Memorial Day parade. We always have a great turnout on Veterans Day, but we do have a group of brownies and daisies that are with us, and they meet at the Thompson Library. So I want to recognize them for coming out on Memorial Day today. Thank you. And we'll now have a firing of a volley in the last official firing of the Marine Corps League, the Woburn Detachment of the Marine Corps League. We'll be followed by taps and the national anthem, sung by Joanne and then combined by the both bands.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, give proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Great job. This time I want to take a chance to send out some thanks. First, absolutely thank you, all of you, for showing up here today. It's great. You know, wouldn't it be nice if corporate America could see what was going on here today and not be concerned about opening their stores and having sales on Memorial Day? Wouldn't it be nice if corporate America could say, we're going to honor America, we're going to honor those that gave their lives for our country. We're not going to open till 1 o'clock, but unfortunately it doesn't happen. And I guess as veterans and those that gave their life, we've created the monster. We've given them the freedom to do what they want to do. And a special thanks, of course, to Larry and to Jen Murray up at the Veterans Office. You can't believe the work that they do. You know, my job is easy. I just, up here with the microphone, just keep talking and talking, but I try not to talk too much. But I want to recognize all the schools in Woburn that did programs for Memorial Day, the Senior Center. This past Saturday, Woburn Little League has a tournament going on, and they paused at 2 o'clock to remember Memorial Day. And it was so fitting. They recognized a Woburn veteran killed in Vietnam, Lance Corporal Charles O'Neill, the United States Marine Corps, killed in action on the 19th of July, 1968. And his family, his sister was there, his brothers, nieces, and nephews. And it was so nice. It was a nice program that Little League did to recognize Memorial Day. It was interesting that they did recognize Charles on Saturday, and yesterday would have been his birthday. Also, the Moose, they do breakfast for veterans on Sunday. We want to recognize that. Jim DeLong, look how great the Common looks. Also, the Department of Public Works, I know Lenny's here with the sound system and his crew, and they're going to be moving ahead of us so we'll be able to have the sound system. And both cemeteries, Calvary and Woodbrook, the guys have been working real hard over there. Of course, the police and fire department. And also, too, the flags at the cemetery this year. We were asked by the cemeteries respectfully if we could move the flags up to the headstones rather than put them by the flat veterans marker, because it makes it so hard for them to cut the grass, and sometimes the flags get damaged. So when you go over to the cemetery, you'll see a flat marker, but look by the headstone, that's where you'll see the flags. So this just about does conclude our program here on the Common. Once again, remembering what the day is all about, remembering the names that gave their lives for our country. Our wall, I mentioned before, the names with the stars. That's who we're here to recognize today. Thank you, all of you. Have a great summer, everybody. We're going to move along to hopefully beat the rain here today. We're going to form up and we're going to march up to Woodbrook Cemetery, and we'll disband, as we usually do, go over to the fire station and march down to Calvary Cemetery. Have a great summer, everybody. Hope to see you all back here on Veterans Day, if not sooner. And once again, God bless all of you, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you so much.